So I stamped the Greeting Farms Princess Anya image with Memento Tuxedo Black ink onto CC Designs Copic quality 110-pound cardstock. And then I always start with the skin. So I first had done E50, which was my lightest, and just kind of laid down a quick layer. And then I went in with the E01 to add a bit of darker areas where the shading would be. And then now I'm just using E13, which is the darkest, and just very, very lightly and thinly adding the darkest tone in all the areas where the shadows would be. And then I just blend that out with the E01, and then I'll go in and blend that all together again with my E50, which was the lightest. And I have to apologize for the shadows. I filmed this at night. I've just been trying to experiment with a way that I can make this work, and obviously my lighting is rotten because my hand casts such a bad shadow, but hopefully you guys can pretty much still see what I'm doing. So anyway, I'm blending all the colors together with the E50, just using small circular motions. And then I'm going in with the R20 to add the pink for her cheeks. And then I'm going to go back with the E50 and just kind of blend that out a little more so it's not just like harsh little circles. So then once I've got that done, I'm actually going in with BV000, which is a really pale purple, and very, very lightly adding that to where the darkest, to where a shadow would be cast, and then blending that out a bit again with the E50, because too much of that can actually make the skin look really weird. So once that's done, I'm going on to the hair, and for the hair I start with my lightest, and with these Anya images, these are great for practice coloring and whatnot. So I do the bangs first, and then I move on to the rest of the hair, do everything in sections. It's just easier that way in my opinion. So I did E23 first, then E25, then I go on to E27, and then E29, which is my darkest. You just go light to dark, and then you go backwards from dark to light, and that just basically just blends everything together on its own. You don't have to do a ton of blending. And I leave a white in the middle and slowly pull all the color towards that, till finally when I'm back to using my E23, the lightest, I pull everything together. And that gives you the blended look. So once that's done, I go on to the rest of the hair, and this part I just sped up super fast because it's the exact same thing. I start with the lightest, leaving a bunch of white spaces, work my way down to the darkest colors, and then work my way back to the lightest to blend it all together again. So it's really kind of quite easy. You just kind of have to decide which areas you want the lightest to be, where your light source would be coming from, and all that, fun stuff. And then, yeah, that's another reason too why I use the 110-pound cardstock, especially for images like this when you're doing a lot of coloring and blending. It gives you a lot more leeway. You can push the color in deeper if you make a mistake, and I just like it that way. So once the hair is done, I go back with the E29, which was my darkest, and just holding the image so that the flicks are towards me, just flicking in basically strands of hair. It just kind of gives it a little more dimension rather than just leaving it flat. And yeah, moving the image around so that you're flicking the marker close towards you, it just kind of gives you a little bit more control. And you just have to do it really, really lightly. It takes practice. I know I still need practice doing it. But yeah, you just do that, and then it gives it all that extra dimension. And then I go on to the rest of the image. So her crown and her little star on her scepter, I'm just using Y21 and then going in with Y26 as my darkest, and then blending them together with the Y21 again. And this way I can push out any of the brown that might have gone across the stamped line, just by adding a little bit more of the yellow, just to push the brown deeper into the cardstock. And then for her little dress, I'm using V93 as my lightest, and then going in with V95 to add the darker tones. And then finally I will be going in with V99, which is the absolute darkest, just to add the depth to it, and then blending that out with the V95 again, and just using a pretty light hand. The V95 and the V99 are really saturated colors, if that makes sense. I'm not too worried about going outside the lines though, because I'm going to cut this image out, and I'm also going to paper piece the rest of her little skirt. But anyway, I blend that all together again with the V93 with my lightest marker. So I'm just inking up the skirt with a Memento ink, and I'm using a little pattern paper piece from the Echo Park Springtime pack. So I stamped it on the pattern paper, and then I just trim out those two parts of her skirt with my scissors. And then I'm going to adhere that into place with my Tombow Mono Multi adhesive. So once I got that glued down, I'm going to finish it off, because with the pattern paper it's basically just floating there. So to kind of ground it a little bit and give it a little more depth, I'm just using that BV000 just to add a little bit of shadow, and that's all there is to it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!